Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, which is like, that's all well and good, but like, you don't know my parents, Austin. You don't know our history, and you're right, I don't. The reality is that for many of us, the command to honor our parents, it can be one of the most challenging commandments of the 10 Commandments. Maybe you grew up in a home where abuse was present. Perhaps one of your parents abandoned you, or both abandoned you. Maybe you were abused physically, emotionally, right? Maybe your relationship with your parents is strained by just past hurts or ongoing conflicts. So the question comes up is then, how do we honor our parents in these kind of situations? And so first, let me be clear, okay? Honoring your parents, it doesn't mean enabling or accepting abuse or subjecting yourself to harmful or downright sinful situations, okay? It doesn't mean pretending that everything's fine when it's not. Sometimes the most honoring thing that we can do is to establish healthy boundaries. But here's where we need to dig deeper into what honor really means. Remember, that Hebrew word, kavod, it's about giving weight or significance to something. And so in the context of a difficult relationship with parents and children, honoring might look like this. It might be acknowledging the role that your parents played in bringing you into the world, even if their parenting is flawed. Right? It could be recognizing that your parents, like you, are imperfect human beings in need of God's grace. It might look like choosing to forgive, and not just for their sake, but for your own spiritual and emotional health. It might mean seeking healing and breaking negative cycles so that you don't pass on generational wounds. Honoring difficult parents doesn't mean pretending that the past didn't happen. Okay, it means refusing to let the past define your future. It means choosing, with God's help, to write a different story for the next generation. I'm reminded of the story of Joseph in the Old Testament. Here's a man who had every reason to dishonor his family. His brothers sold him into slavery out of jealousy. He spent years in prison because of false accusations. But when he had the power finally to retaliate, what did he do? He chose to honor his family by forgiving them and by providing for them. Joseph says to his brothers in Genesis chapter 50, verse 20, he says, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about that many people should be kept alive as they are today." And this is a profound example of honoring parents and family members, even in the face of deep hurt. Joseph, he didn't minimize the wrong that was done to him, but he chose to see how God had worked through those painful circumstances. And another powerful example from the Old Testament is the story of David and Saul. Saul was, in a sense, a father figure to David, and also, in a literal sense, his father-in-law. And so despite Saul's attempts to kill him, David consistently chose to honor Saul's position even when he had opportunities for revenge. This didn't mean that David allowed Saul to harm him, right? He kept his distance when that was necessary, but he refused to dishonor Saul's God-given authority. In 1 Samuel chapter 24, when David had the opportunity to kill Saul in the cave, he instead only cut off a corner of Saul's robe. Later he says to Saul, "See, my father, see the corner of your robe in my hand. For by the fact that I cut off the corner of your robe and did not kill you, you may know and see that there is no wrong or treason in my hands. I'm not sinned against you, though you hunt my life to take it." See, David's words and actions, they show a deep respect, really, for the position that Saul held, even when Saul himself was acting in a horrifically dishonorable way. And see, it's a challenging model, but it shows us that it's possible to honor the position of a parent without endorsing or without enabling harmful behavior.